Alright, so the Shou Sugi Ban Vanity countertop is finally complete and I could not be happier with how it looks. Perfect project for anybody who wants to start with woodworking like me, because it's very simple. You just get 3 pieces of wood, you attach them together with some glue and it's done. You burn it, you scrape it and sand it, put some dye or stain in it and some polyurethane and voila, it looks fantastic. Alright, so to get started, all I did was grab a 2x8 construction lumber and cut them to size for the vanity countertop. At this point, if you have a planer handy, I highly recommend you run the 3 pieces through in order to align them flush. Since I don't have a planer, I'm going for a more rustic look. I didn't worry too much about the pieces aligning perfectly flush. Now at this point, I drilled 3 to 4 half-inch holes for dowels on the first piece, and then I inserted half-inch self-centering dowel center finders and it's pretty fast in those holes, and align the next piece and tap with a mallet to mark the holes for the dowels on the second piece. Then I just repeated the process on the opposite side of the second piece to mark the holes for the third piece. Now when you're drilling the holes for the dowels, I put a piece of tape on the drill bit as a marker to make sure I drill just the depth I needed for the dowels to fit. Now when you're drilling the hole, sometimes if it's not clean, you can just grab a flat screw head or whatever just to clean it up. And finally, insert all the half-inch dowels and dry fit the 3 pieces to make sure they align properly. Alright, so finally when everything is perfectly fitting, you just go ahead and glue the 3 pieces together using clamps in place and let it dry overnight. Now I guess I lost some footage that I recorded because I put way more clamps, as you will see, on the top and bottom, so just to give you an idea. Alright, so when you're fitting them together, it's best to try to fit 2 pieces at a time like I did there, and then put all the 3 pieces together. Alright, so once everything is dry, the fun begins, which is the burning. Now when it comes to burning, there are 2 options that I found as far as the torches are concerned. You can get the handheld ones, I've seen the benzomatic ones, and I found this torch on sale for like 20 bucks, which you attach to a propane tank, and it does a job pretty fast. Now I have never done this, and this torch is pretty powerful and loud, so it's a bit intimidating at first, but once you get the hang out of it, it's not too bad. Now when you're doing this, be safety conscious when burning the wood. Keep away from any building, choose an open outdoor space, and keep the propane gas tank a good distance away from the flame. Now as far as how long and how much you should burn this, to get a good gauge, I recommend you getting some scrap pieces of the same wood and burn it and scrape it and see how much you need to burn. Now I didn't do this, and you will find later on that I have to re-burn it because my grooves of the grain weren't deep enough. And then once you completed the charring process, just remove and safely put away the torch in the tank and let the wood piece cool down a bit. how the vanity top looks like after I charred it. And I really wanted to make sure that this got a really good char, so you saw me. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to be using these brushes. I have a plastic brush which I'm going to use to first brush everything off, get all the char out, and then use the copper brush to really kind of dig into it, get all the finer details out of the way. Now it's important to note when you're cleaning, the brush strokes need to be along the grain because these do leave marks on the wood. Especially when you're using the copper. Now this is a bad example that I'm showing you, which I learned the hard way. I am definitely scrubbing not with the grain. Here I am finally realizing that and sticking to scrubbing it along the grain. And it's also helpful to have a shop vac or a vacuum nearby while you're doing it, because this is very messy and I don't even know why I wore white to do this process. So definitely a huge no-no. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I realized that my grooves weren't deep enough. So once I was done cleaning everything, here I am. I had to re-burn the wood to get a deeper grooves on the wood because I was going for the rustic look. It really made a huge difference. Now the next step is an additional step, which is sanding and brushing and cleaning it. I wanted to sand it so I can get deeper grooves and also lighten the areas when I put a wood dye later on. So I started here, I'm starting with 100 grit paper, and I did areas where you can kind of create your own artwork at this point. So I only focused on some areas to make it really light, and the other areas I didn't use the 100 grit that much. And also when using the 100 grit, it actually buffs off any scrape marks, as you can see the light areas. And I used a 200 grit later on and then a 400 grit to really smooth it off. Now the next part is dyeing. I use wood dye to have a better control of the color I was looking for. And there are a couple of ways. You have a powdered version, a liquid concentrate, and a pre-mixed version. And I used a sponge to apply it, and then a dry sponge to take it off, and finally a wet towel, just a paper towel to dry it out even more. And once this is done, I let it sit for overnight. And finally, I just applied polyurethane, and I did 3 coats, and I sanded with a 400 grit sandpaper in between, so I can get a smooth finish and a durable finish. And once you let that sit and dry, here you go. I really believe, this vessel sink already is beautiful, has a lot of detail on it, and a wood look to it, and I think the Shou Sugi Ban vanity top really complements it, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm just ecstatic to see it done. All I did was very simple. I just got those L brackets from the home center and attached it in a couple of places to the vanity, and now it's pretty rigid, it doesn't go anywhere. And then for the sink, depending on the size of your drain that you're gonna get, I think mine was 1 1/4. I drilled a round hole through there and fitted the drain through there and connected the rest of the plumbing. It's really not that hard to do. Just a bit of there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube to explaining how to do that process. And then finally all I did was drill a hole for the faucet as well. And that's it, it's done. I hope you like this video. I hope you learned something. I hope it inspires you to create something cool like this. Really, anytime you get to burn something, and really create something cool, I think is a win-win in all cases. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel as well. I'll be putting out DIY stuff like this for beginners like me. Anything that I want to create, you will will get to see, and I really want to try more Shou Sugi Ban type stuff as well. Really stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comment section what you liked about this project, what you didn't like about this project. Any suggestions for me would be fantastic. Any chance to learn, I'm up for it. That's all from me today. I hope I inspire you to create. Till next time, take care.